You know, if you've been around Christianity for any amount of time, there's this one question that just hangs in the air. It's one of the most foundational and maybe even a little puzzling questions there is. And today, we're going to unpack it.
Seriously, think about it. Why faith? Of all the things God could demand from us, perfect behavior, huge sacrifices, incredible wisdom, why is it that this one thing, faith, is the absolute deal breaker? Why is it the one thing he seems to value above everything else?
Well, the Bible doesn't pull any punches on this. This verse right here in Hebrews, it just lays it out flat. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Not just hard, not just a little tricky, but literally impossible. So right away, we know this isn't just a nice to have. It's the price of admission.
Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this, we have to go back. I mean, way back. All the way to the beginning. Back to a perfect world and the very first test of trust that ever happened.
So just picture the scene, right? The Garden of Eden. It's paradise. You've got these beautiful trees, amazing food everywhere, even the tree of life is right there. I mean, everything is provided, everything is perfect. And in the middle of all this incredible abundance, God sets up just one single boundary, one rule.
And the instruction couldn't have been simpler. God basically says, hey, look around. It's all yours. Enjoy it. Just see that one tree over there? That one's off limits. You got to trust me on this, because if you don't, the consequence is death. The stakes were as high as they get, but the test itself was just so simple. It was a test of trust.
And this is where it all comes to a head. It boils down to a choice between two completely opposite statements. God says one thing, the serpent says the exact opposite. And Adam and Eve are stuck in the middle with a choice to make. Whose report are you going to believe? Who do you actually trust?
But look closer at what's really going on. The serpent's trick here, it wasn't really about a piece of fruit. No way. This was a full-on assault against God's character. He's not just suggesting God might be mistaken. He's saying God is a liar. He's holding out on you. He's scared you'll become like him. Deep down, he's not really good.
And that is the absolute key to this whole thing. The original sin, the moment the world broke, it wasn't really about breaking a rule. The foundational failure was a failure of faith. They chose to believe the liar, the accuser, over the one who had given them literally everything. That was a real tragedy.
So that's the failure. But thankfully, the story doesn't end in the garden. Because next, we get to see the perfect flip side of the coin, a story that shows us exactly what was lost. Just pure, simple faith.
I mean, try to put yourself in Abraham's shoes for a second. He's an old guy. His wife, Sarah, she's way past the age of having kids. They have no heir, which in that culture was basically the end of the line. So from every possible angle, logically, biologically, you name it, his situation is completely hopeless. And right into the middle of that hopelessness, God speaks a promise that, let's be honest, sounds completely insane. He takes this old, childless man outside, tells him to look up at the stars and try to count them, and then says, that's how many kids you're going to have.
Just let that sink in. There was zero physical evidence for this. None. All the facts, all of science, all of common sense was screaming at him, this is impossible. It can't happen. So what on earth is his response going to be?
And the Bible's description is just, it's beautiful in its simplicity. It doesn't say he rationalized it or came up with a 5-step plan. It just says Abraham believed God, period. He took God at his word, even when it flew in the face of everything he could see and touch.
And this single act, this one moment of trust, is the whole ball game. That decision to believe what God said against all the odds was counted or credited to his account as righteousness. He didn't do anything to earn it. He just trusted the promise of a good God.
So this whole idea of righteousness, being credited to someone, it leads to a really important distinction. What does that actually mean? How does that work? Let's break it down.
Okay, think of it this way. You've got two categories, wages and a gift. Your paycheck, that's wages. Your boss doesn't give it to you out of the kindness of his heart, it's an obligation. He owes it to you for the work you did. You can demand it. But a gift, that's a totally different system. It's not based on your performance, it's based on the giver's kindness. It's not owed, it's freely offered. And you can't demand it, you can only accept it.
And that's the bottom line right there. There is nothing you can do, no amount of good deeds, that can ever put God in your debt. You can't make him owe you righteousness. It's a gift. And a gift, by its very nature, can't be earned. It can only be accepted. And how do we accept it? By faith.
Okay, so we've looked at the Garden of Eden, we've looked at Abraham. What does all this have to do with us, right here, right now, in the 21st century? How does this ancient test of trust apply today?
Well, it turns out we are all facing the exact same test Adam and Eve did, just in a different garden. For them, the setting was paradise, and the choice was about a tree. For us, the setting is this broken world, and our choice centers on a person, Jesus. But look at the question. The fundamental question has not changed one bit. Is God good? And are you going to trust him?
And this is so important to get. Faith isn't some generic, fuzzy feeling in your gut or just, believing in a higher power. Christian faith has a specific object. It is choosing to trust what God himself has declared to be true about his Son, Jesus Christ. That's the test for us.
So now we can finally zoom all the way out and ask the ultimate why. Why does this one thing, faith, matter on a cosmic, eternal scale? Why is this the test that determines everything?
Think of it from God's perspective. The plan is to eventually give redeemed human beings incredible power and responsibility for all of eternity. But before he can hand over the keys to the kingdom, so to speak, he needs to know the answer to that one foundational question. Does this person really truly trust that I am good, even when it's hard, even when they don't understand?
And that really puts it all together, doesn't it? Faith is more than just a belief. It's the ultimate safety test. It's the one thing that proves a person is safe to be promoted from this temporary world to the real one, because it ensures there will never be another rebellion. Their trust is finally and forever locked in on the goodness of God.
And that leaves us with the final takeaway, which isn't just a cool idea, but a question we all have to live with. See, it's easy to say we have faith when life is good and it costs us nothing. But when following God becomes costly, when obedience requires a real sacrifice, what happens then? What does your faith prove to be? Is it the real deal? That's the test we all face, every single day.